Again, the digestive coach for moms over at Karen Haley's Gut Love, where it's all about helping you when you're ready to move beyond medicine to quiet those gut struggles like Crohn's and colitis. And when we do that, then we can become the mom we always dreamed we'd be. Yes, amen, whoop whoop. Can I get a hallelujah for that, right? I am back with you live again today, and I'm so excited to be here because we are continuing our summer series, the SCD Made Simple Cooking for Summer series. Last time we talked about how to make your own nut milk, right? And making nut milk is a huge part of the specific carbohydrate diet because we don't want to go to the dairy aisle, the non-dairy aisle at the grocery store, and we don't want to buy those milks because they are not going to be SCD legal, right? But it's so simple. I showed you in that last video about how simple it is to do this. Anybody can do it. All you need are some nuts, so you can start with either almonds, pecans, cashews, coconut. You can start with those things and you can make your very own nut milk. If you haven't seen that, that was the first in this summer series. If you haven't seen that, you can come to my Facebook page and you can just scroll down a few videos and you can see it right there. Okay, today it's all about this weird thing I know kind of freaks people out when they start the specific carbohydrate diet. It's dry curd cottage cheese. It's kind of weird, right? I remember when I read the Breaking the Vicious Cycle book for the first time, and I have to show you guys it. Here's a copy, just in case you don't have this. If you're starting out on the specific carbohydrate diet, if you want to try and heal or at least quiet those Crohn's and colitis symptoms, you definitely want to get your hands on this book. And I'm not sure if my mom is live. She's been trying. My mother's almost 80 years old. She's been trying to join us live for a while. I definitely see that at least one person is on live, so maybe it's my mom. If you are mom, talk to the kids and see how you can make a comment. Hey Holly, how are you? Nice to see you. But mom, this is for you. If you're live with us, you want to go to the bottom and make a comment, and I know exactly what your comment is going to be. It's going to be, your words are backwards. My mom has such a problem with this. You probably have a problem with this. I know it's annoying, but I like to go live on my phone. And so when I do that, it puts everything backwards. So I'm just gonna show you this quickly. Maybe I'll just cover it. If you're new to the specific carbohydrate diet, you've got to get your hands on this book. It is your Bible for how to eat healthy. Okay, so here you are for the specific carbohydrate diet. It's called Breaking the Vicious Cycle. And in here, so when I was reading this book for the first time, hi Michelle, nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. When I was reading the book for the first time, I remember seeing these 4 words, dry curd cottage cheese. And I remember saying, what in the heck is that, right? So if you've never done the specific carbohydrate diet, do you know what dry curd cottage cheese is? Tell me in the comments if you've heard of that, if you knew what it was and you've never done the specific carbohydrate diet. Because it's not something that is really found in, you wouldn't be looking for it, although you can find it in your regular grocery store. You probably wouldn't be looking for it. So today's video is all about that. It's all about what the heck is dry curd cottage cheese and what can we actually do with it? Because I remember thinking that same thing. No, Holly says no, she has no idea what that was. This is so crazy, guys. Crazy day. I've been running around all day. I meant to get my computer so that I could see the comments there, but of course I didn't do that. Even the thing that I want to make, that I'm gonna make for you guys today, I burnt it. Can you see it back there? It's been one of those days. But when you're a mom, this is our life, right? These kinds of things happen. Tell me if you understand that in the comments, because I know that you do. Have you ever had one of those days? Yeah, tell me if you've had one of those days. Okay, so we're gonna be talking about dry curd cottage cheese. I have some notes here because I wanna make sure that I tell you everything about it. And here's what I wanna cover today. What is it? Why is it on the diet? Where can you buy it? And then once you buy it, now what are you gonna do with it? right? It's one thing to get it in your house, but then what the heck do you do with it? So I want to talk to you about all of those things. So first up, what is it? Well, dry curd cottage cheese, you might be thinking of cottage cheese because of course you've heard of cottage cheese, I'm sure. You may have even had cottage cheese. I have to be really honest with you and tell you, I've never been a fan of cottage cheese. I don't know, I don't think it tastes so good. And in all honesty, I'm not even a huge fan of dry curd cottage cheese straight. But when you put it in things that are baking, smoothies, if you put it in the SCD legal yogurt, if you put it in those things, it's actually really good. It makes it super creamy. But it is a little bit like cottage cheese. So they start with milk and then it gets heated, cultured, and when that happens, all of the moisture is taken out of it. So if you think about those little curds in cottage cheese and then it's kind of like liquidy, this is those curds, but it's not liquidy. It's completely, well, I'm gonna show it to you actually. I'm gonna show you. So this is what you'll find in the grocery store. And again, Mom, if you're watching, I'm sorry, it's backwards. This is Friendship Dry Curd Cottage Cheese. And so in a minute, I'm gonna open it so I can show you what it looks like. But it does look a lot like your regular cottage cheese, but just not liquidy. Okay, so that's what it is. And it is made from milk. But here's why you can eat it on the specific carbohydrate diet. And the reason is because it does not have lactose. It is virtually lactose free. So that's why you can still eat it on the specific carbohydrate diet, okay? So if you're just starting this diet, you definitely wanna at least try it. Is it a must? Do you have to have it? Absolutely not. You can do lots of things and you don't even have to have it. But I do think in the beginning, it makes your baking easier, especially if you have this book, because a ton of the recipes in this book use dry curd cottage cheese. So I just want you to know about what it is so that then you can make that choice for yourself. Do I want to use it or do I not want to use it? So that's what it is. So that's the first question. Why is it on the specific carbohydrate diet? Well, it's on the specific carbohydrate diet because it's virtually lactose free. And everything on the specific carbohydrate diet is virtually lactose free, right? So we can have some of those hard cheeses, we can have the fermented yogurt, only because it's virtually lactose free. Well, that's why it's on the specific carbohydrate diet menu, because it's virtually lactose free. And not only that, it's actually a good source of, like all cheeses, it's a good source of calcium. So if you want to get more calcium in, if you go to your doctor and you find that you're low in calcium, you can use dry curd cottage cheese. Now I do want to mention this to you though. If you are using it and you're using it for the calcium benefits and you really don't like it, you really don't have to use it. You can get your calcium in other ways. I know in our country, we are bombarded with, if you want to get milk, if you want to get calcium, I just gave it away, right? If you want to get calcium, you have to drink milk. Well, here's the thing, you actually don't. You can get calcium. Does anybody know where you can get calcium from? Green leafy vegetables. You can get your calcium from green leafy vegetables. So you don't need to eat it because you're trying to get your green leafy vegetables. Hey there, how are you? Nice to see you. I'm having a hard time. I'm trying to read my phone too, but hi, I see you joined and welcome. So happy to have you. If you're here and you're with us live, say hi. Tell me what's going on with you. I would love to hear from you. If you have any questions, you can pop those in the comments as well. So we're talking about dry curd cottage cheese. And the reason it's on the specific carbohydrate diet is because number one, it's virtually lactose free. And number two, it's a good source of calcium. Remember, don't worry about it if you try it and you decide you don't like it. You can get your calcium from green leafy vegetables as well. This is just another option for you. Okay, so that's why. Now, here's the question that I get most. When we're talking about the specific carbohydrate diet, there's a question that I get all the time, and that is, what the heck is this dry curd cottage cheese and what am I gonna do with it? Once we answer that question, the next question is this: where do I buy it? Because I don't see it in my regular grocery store. Hi, good to see you. I don't see it in my regular grocery store, right? So yes and no. You can find it. I know there are several people that live in rural areas across the country and in other countries where they really just can't find it. And the good news for that is that you can actually make your own. So I'm gonna give you a recipe so that if you really want to, you can make your own. Remember though, it is not necessary. This is a great addition to the diet, but I wouldn't say it's so integral to it. Like the yogurt, that's huge. The bone broth, that's huge. I really want you to get those things into your diet because it's gonna really help heal your gut. But this, it's okay if you can't get it. But like I said in the beginning, I think it's a good idea to try it. See if you like it, see if you benefit from it. It's a good idea to try it out. Here's some places where I know they have it. It's not at all of those stores. Like, for example, Wegmans, my favorite store. Now, I know Wegmans is only in the Northeast. I don't think it's in Canada. I don't think it's anywhere else, but I know it's in the Northeast. I can get it at my Wegmans. But does that mean that every Wegmans has it? Unfortunately, no. But let me just give you a list of some of the stores that I know carry it. Wegmans, Winn-Dixie, Publix. You know what? I've even seen it at Walmart, Giant, Harris Teeter, Whole Foods. So if you want to look for it and you have one of those stores near you, you can go check it out. The one that's recommended on the specific carbohydrate diet, because it doesn't have any additives in it, it's just the milk cultures, is a brand called Friendship. So that's the one that you want to look for. It doesn't have anything in it. Now, I like the no salt added because I'm usually putting this in my baking products and I want to be able to add my own salt. I don't want it already salted for me. So that's what I'll do. I will go ahead and get the no salt. So if you can get that, try that. Here's a little trick though. I don't know if I've told you guys this before, but we used to be in the military. So we would move all over the world, actually. And so there were places I would go. I would go to the local grocery store and they wouldn't have it there. And then so I would go to the manager and say, hey, this is something that I really need for my health. Do you mind ordering a case for me? I will buy the case. You can freeze this, so you can keep this for a long time. So that's an option for you. If you go to your local grocery store and you don't see it there, you can always go to the store manager and say, could you order a case for me? Sometimes they won't even make you buy the whole case. Sometimes you can just get the couple that you need, and then you're benefiting other people because trust me, there's other moms out there that want their dry curd cottage cheese, right? So that's what you can do if your grocery store doesn't have it. Now, I did see today, I was looking because I would love to be able to tell you that you can get this online. I did see it on Amazon for, oh, I wish I knew the exact price, but it was $60-some. I think it was like for one. I mean, seriously, are you crazy? Really? So you can buy this at your grocery store for about $3, so $60. You guys can check that and tell me. It was not the Friendship brand, it was Lifeway. So if you ever see it, and anybody, if you're live here, I would love to know, have you ever got Friendship cheese online? And if so, where did you get it? So the problem here is that it has to be refrigerated, right? That is a big problem. It has to be refrigerated. And so I can't imagine the $60 price tag. That's insane. Okay, so I'm sorry, I have to get close to the camera, and there's a comment here I want to read for you guys. Friendship no salt at Wegmans. I'll check it out. Yes, Jeff, definitely check that out because Wegmans is great. And Jeff, I know that you live locally, so you could get yours at Wegmans. I hope. Not all Wegmans, but if they don't have it, I would definitely ask about it. Okay, so that's where to buy it. Now that you have it, we talked about what is it. We talked about why is it on the specific carbohydrate diet. We talked about where to buy it. Now lastly, the last question is, what are you gonna do with it? Now that you have it, what are you gonna do with it? Well, if you have this book, definitely look in here because there's a ton of recipes in here that include the dry curd cottage cheese. And remember, if you weren't here in the beginning when I was talking about this book, this is Breaking the Vicious Cycle. It's the specific carbohydrate diet Bible, and you've got to get it because it has all of the basis for all of this. It has the intro diet. It really will help get you started. And this book has a lot of dry curd cottage cheese recipes in it. So definitely check that out. Now, what else can you find? Where else can you find things to do with it? Well, I'm so happy you asked because I actually have a great recipe. I make these little sandwich rounds or little circles. I use them for hamburger buns, For lunch sandwiches, like I might put egg salad, or one of my favorites is avocado and roasted peppers in a sandwich. So this is my sandwich bread. You can even just put some jelly on it, like some butter and jelly, and have it for breakfast, heat it up. I personally think that all grain-free products taste better warm. So if I were you, I would heat it up a little bit in your toaster oven, your toaster, your oven, whatever you use to heat things up. And then you could even just put a little bit of butter on it, cinnamon. You can kind of make this your own. But this particular recipe, it uses almond flour. And that's what I want to share with you guys today. Okay, so here we have, and the way that this is set up, you can't see, I don't think you can see below, so I'm gonna hold some things up for you. So this recipe is, and I made this recipe myself, so I haven't even named it yet, but I'm gonna give you guys this recipe today. Let's just call it almond flour sandwich rounds. Almond flour sandwich rounds. Here's what they look like. So I just made a batch right before I went live, and I was busy getting things ready, and of course, I left them in the oven too long, and I burnt them. So I know you guys know, right? These things happen, right? I'm gonna show you the burnt ones. But guess what? I think I'm gonna save it because they're not that burnt, okay? So they're brown, right? Do you see that? They shouldn't be that brown. But I think these would make really good croutons. Tell me what you think in the comments. Do you think these would make good croutons? I think I'm going to just put a little butter and maybe some garlic on them. Put them back. See, it's not that bad, right? I mean, some of these, this one in particular, I think I might even be able to eat. But then, like, as we get over here, they get kind of dark. So you don't want to leave them too long. I have to be honest, I think that's the first time I ever did that. Anyway, I had another pan of them, and they turned out pretty good. So they're here. Yeah, so those are there. I'm gonna hold one up too. So these are the sandwich rounds. So you can see they're round, right? These are completely gluten-free, completely grain-free, completely SCD legal. Pretty cool, right? So that's what they look like. They're pretty thin. You can make them thicker if you want, but I do mine pretty thin. But they're really, like I said, super versatile, right? Okay, so that's what they look like. So now let's make them. Let me tell you how to make these. So we're gonna start with almond flour. And then to that, we're going to add some salt, some baking soda, and then just some dried herbs, whatever you like. That's the really cool thing about this. This is just the base, and then you can do whatever you want with it. So what I mean by that is you can make it savory, you can make it sweet, you can make it really herb flavored, which is what I did. That's more of a savory kind. So this is just dried. Now, if you want to be fancy about it and you want it to be really super fresh, go ahead and use your fresh herbs from your garden, which I know you have this time here, right? I have dried herbs because I was late in planting my garden, and so my herbs haven't come up yet. So I'm using dried basil, dried thyme, and dried oregano. And I just put that in, so it just gives it just a little seasoning, right? So it's not so plain tasting. All right, and then, so I have the almond flour, the salt, and the baking soda. That's all my dry ingredients. I always use dry ingredients first so I can stir them up. So I'm just gonna stir this. And you know, guys, even if you're not on the specific carbohydrate diet, if you're on paleo, if you're just eating healthy, you can use dry curd cottage cheese. You don't have to be on the specific carbohydrate diet to use dry curd cottage cheese, of course, right? So anybody can use it. All right, now that's my dry ingredients. To that, I'm gonna add a couple eggs. And again, like I told you guys, it's been quite a day at my house. I went to make this so I could show you what it was gonna look like, and I had no eggs in my house. But thankfully, about 5 minutes away is a local farm that sells eggs. So I went there. Well, I didn't go there. Actually, my 7-year-old, and his babysitter went there and got them for us. So these are like totally fresh. I bet they were picked this morning from the farm, eggs. So I'm really excited that we get to use these. So I'm gonna add 2. So there's 1 and 2. So 2 eggs. Okay, now it's time for our dry curd cottage cheese, and now I'm gonna show you what this looks like. It comes with this tab. I'm gonna move this closer so you can see it. See, it comes with this tab, and you can buy this in a larger size. I've only seen I want to say, I'm trying to think of where I was living when they had it. I think it was South Carolina. I saw, like I said, we were in the military and we moved around a lot, but I think it was in South Carolina. They had like a double, it was double the size, and it was this. So if you can find it even bigger, go for it, because like I said, you can freeze it. When you buy it, you want to look at the date. There's always a date on it, and you don't want it to get much past the expiration date. You can freeze it. So if you find that it's getting close to the date, go ahead and freeze it. I feel like it's a little bit difficult to tell the date. If you guys have used this before, you know what I mean. They stamp it on. It's a little hard to see, but if I look really closely, I can see that this says July 3rd. And so we're okay to use it. But anyway, this tab, I find it, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not strong enough. Yeah, it's really hard. So here's what I do. I take a knife. Okay, so I just take a knife and I just cut a little side corner, and then it comes right off, usually. Here we go, there. Okay, so now it's just inside here. This isn't the dry curd cottage cheese, that's the wrapper, okay? It's like a, I would say like wax paper. It's wrapped in wax paper because it's a little bit wet. It's not very wet, but it is a little bit wet because like I said, it's not like regular cottage cheese. It's not completely wet, but I just want to open this so you guys can get a good look. It looks like a block of cream cheese, right? Did you guys see that? It looks like a block of cream cheese. It's not as soft though. It's kind of like crumbly, like see how that kind of crumbles, right? And so that's what it looks like. So I'm just gonna pop this in the bread. So I use the whole thing for this recipe, and it's about 1 cup for this recipe. And of course, oh, here we go. I have paper towels right here. I was gonna say, of course, I forgot a kitchen towel, but I have paper towels, so I'll just use that. Because it is kind of wet. So I put that in there, and then to that, I'm gonna add some melted butter. So there's melted butter. And I'm just gonna put the melted butter in there. That's your base. Now with that, you can do whatever you want. You could add garlic. You could add chives. I think that would be so good. Sometimes I add onions. I'll chop up onions or scallions and put them in there. I guess I kind of do like it savory, huh? But you could do it sweet. You could add a little bit of honey and cinnamon. Skip the herbs. Just do honey and cinnamon instead. And I think that would be really good for breakfast. So that's an idea. But I'm just gonna stir this up. Now what you wanna do is stir it up, and then you wanna see how, is it thick? Is it too thick? If it's too thick, like I feel like this one right now is a little bit too thick, I'll show you guys. I would add just a little bit of water to it. Most baking is pretty precise, but I find with this, it's not that difficult. You can kind of mix and match and add and change. Okay, so here's just a little bit of water. This is 1/3 of a cup of water. I'm just gonna add it. And then I can just show you guys what the finished product looks like before you pop it in the oven. Okay, so here's what it looks like. One of these days, I'm gonna figure out a better way to do this, I promise you guys, but that's what it looks like. And then all you're gonna do is take like an ice cream scooper like this, scoop it onto a pan, and so let's see, a pan like this with your parchment paper on it, I don't know if you can hear me when I said that, with your parchment paper on it, and on a pan this size, I'm sure you guys have a sheet pan about this same size, you can fit, on this size I can do 9, and if you want to do them maybe 2 inches apart, and I can do 9 on this one, or on my bigger one I could do 12. This is gonna go in the oven on 325 for 25 minutes. Don't do it longer, don't do like I did today. 25 minutes, and then you won't burn them. That's it. So that's pretty simple, right? How did that sound for you guys? Tell me. Is that something you think that would be easy for you to do? I'd love to hear. But I hope that that just helps a little bit with the confusion in the whole mystery of dry curd cottage cheese, right? I just want to tell you some other things you can use it for, so that it's not just about the things that you bake. You can put it in smoothies. I think it's like, think of it like your yogurt in a smoothie, except you're gonna do dry curd cottage cheese. You could use it for your yogurt or your applesauce. So you have your SCD legal yogurt. You could put it in there and mix it up. You can use this anytime after your intro phase of the diet. So you can add this pretty quickly. You could put it in applesauce, like I said, your unsweetened applesauce, and just mix it up. You can put it in cookies. You can put it in cakes. Pancakes is another great place that you'll see it. Now, before we end today, I want to tell you guys that I understand some of you cannot find it. You just absolutely, you can't get it online. You can't get it at your regular grocery store. And I want to help you out. I want to tell you what you can do. You can actually take your regular SCD legal yogurt and you can put it in a cheesecloth or even a nut milk bag, or you could even take a thin towel and put it inside of it so that it can drip, so that you can get rid of the whey, that water that's in it. You want to get rid of that. You can put it in a colander. You could put it in, you could also kind of suspend it from something and it'll drip down, right? You know what I mean? It has to be able to drip. And if you do that for 6 to 8 hours, you will have a product that's a lot like Dry Curd Cottage Cheese. So you can use it that way. They call it dripped yogurt. Anyway, I just want to let you guys know that. And if you're really interested in an actual recipe for that, if you're like, Karen, I've tried, I cannot get this Dry Curd Cottage Cheese. If you know that's you, then definitely message me, leave me a comment, and I will give you step-by-step directions for the recipe. I do want to show you though that there are a couple SCD cookbooks that actually have the recipe for dripped yogurt right in it. Maybe you already have these. This is grain-free gourmet. I don't want to show it to you for too long because you'll get, you're seeing it backwards. I got to listen to my mom who said that was annoying. So the everyday grain-free gourmet, I'm going to show it to you really quick. That is a completely SCD legal cookbook. There's a recipe for the dripped yogurt in there. And here's another one called Healing Foods. Oh, I'm sorry, I feel like I have to sneeze. I think it's going away. Healing Foods, cooking for celiac, Crohn's, colitis, and IBS. There's a recipe in here as well, okay? So you can get it in either one of those, but I just want you to be able to use it if you want to. If you can't find it, if you don't want to make it yourself, don't stress about it. I think I might have mentioned this earlier, but there's also, so the recipes that I was just talking about, that dripped yogurt, it's kind of an easier version. And it's like what I would call a mock Dry Curd Cottage Cheese. It's not the real thing, but if you are so inclined, you can actually make it yourself. You can start with milk and you can make the whole thing yourself. Once I'm done with this video, I'm gonna leave a link to I found a good recipe online, and the way that I see it is, why would I invent that if I don't have to? If somebody brilliantly already came up with that recipe, then I'm just gonna give it to them. So there is a recipe. I will leave the link for that as well right here in the comments, so that if you wanna, if you feel like you wanna do it, why not? It doesn't seem that complicated. I've never done it myself, but it can be done. I know that it can be done. So you can feel free to do that as well. So there's the buying at the store, if you can find it at your store. There's very small hope that you could get it online. There's the mock version, which you could make with these cookbooks, or if you want the full recipe, let me know and I'll give you a recipe. But again, so easy, you're just dripping it. Or you can buy the one that is SCD legal. So there are options out there for you, and then just run with it. I mean, you can use this as your ricotta substitute. So you know how they put ricotta cheese in lasagna? Use this instead. It is just like ricotta cheese. You can use this. Oh, here's how I used it yesterday. I went to a party where I had to bring a side dish, and so I cut up watermelon into cubes, and I put in some fresh mint, some olive oil, and some aged balsamic vinegar. Ooh, doesn't that sound good? And then I crumbled this on top. I crumbled the cheese on top. And wouldn't you know, everybody that was there, they thought it was feta. Because when you crumble it on top of something, that's exactly what it looks like. Nobody knew that it was Dry Curd Cottage Cheese. They weren't gonna hear it from me. They thought it was feta, and they loved it. So that's another way to do it. And actually, I told you earlier that I don't care for it so much plain, but with that watermelon salad, mwah, so good. It was really tasty. So like I said, this is so versatile. So many ways you can use it. I want to leave you with one last piece of information, and that is that when you're looking for it, when you're looking for dry curd cottage cheese, sometimes it's called farmer's cheese. Sometimes it's called hoop cheese, and another word I've seen is baker's cheese. I don't know why it has all of these terms that are meaning the same thing, but do not mistake it for a cheese called farmhouse or farmer cheese, right? There's a cheese that's called farmer cheese, not farmers. This is farmers with an S. There's a cheese called farmer cheese or farmhouse cheese that is not the same thing. I remember way a long time ago, like 2008, when I just started this diet and I was looking for it, I accidentally bought this cheese called farmer cheese, but it's actually a big chunk of cheese, like cheddar. It comes in a round circle. This is not the same thing. It will not do the same thing for you. So just make sure you're looking for farmer's cheese, baker's cheese, hoop cheese. I think that's all the names that it goes by. There's probably more. If you know another one, please let us know. We all can learn from each other. So if you know another thing that it's called, but it's the same thing, pop it in the comments so that we can all learn from each other. Okay, guys, do you have any questions? If you have any questions at all about what we've been talking about today, I want you to, don't hesitate, whether you're watching this in the replay, you're watching this live, don't hesitate to leave a comment. I always go back to the video. I always look at the comments and I always answer them after. So if you have any questions about, I'm not sure if this would work in this recipe, or I saw it at my grocery store and it said this, is this right? You know, any questions that you have at all about dry curd cottage cheese, I want you to get off on the right foot. I want you to get started right, because if you accidentally get the wrong one, it could mean lots of trips to the bathroom, right? We need the low lactose stuff, and I don't want you to get caught with something that isn't what you thought it was. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to put it in the comments. I am happy to answer them. Okay, so this SCD Made Simple series is going to continue. We will be back again. I don't think it's going to be until July. I'm going to do a Facebook Live next week, and that will not be in this series, but the week after. And I don't have my calendar in front of me, but stay tuned, keep watching. If you want to know when they're live, put receive notifications on this Facebook page, and then you're going to know every time that I'm live. We're definitely going to continue the series because I want you all set. By the time fall comes, I want you all set for SCD if that's the way you want to quiet your symptoms with Crohn's or colitis. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for watching today. I'm going to go ahead and try this out before I leave and tell you if it's any good. I've had it before, so it's usually pretty good. Oh yeah. Thanks for the love. Oh, I'm choking here. Thanks for the love. I so appreciate it. You guys have to try these. Really good. Oh, I'm going to put the recipe in the comments. So if you want to try this, the recipe is going to be in the comments, okay? I know I kind of told you as I was doing it, but you need exact measurements for this. So recipe in the comments. I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. Until we meet again, I'm going to wish you much gut love and much happiness always. Thanks so much, guys. See you next week. Bye.